What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebrous Infinite, and in 0.2, crafting was brought to a whole new level of potential, adding in two heavily requested features of crafting from storage as well as queued crafting. And so, as we're drawing to a close with the 0.2 focused content, and we'll roll back into our normal Nightingale routine, I wanted to go out with a bang here on such an awesome update. So today, I'll show you folks not only how to craft legitimately every single item in the game, but also how to have a massive and organized storage system that will be the core of all of your crafting needs, all in one neat space. This won't entirely be a building guide, but I'll show you some fundamentals and unique factors to the build I've made today. You don't need to go off and build a whole new base to set this up, but you may have to gut and modify your old base to put in this layout. There's a bit of setup and legwork involved in getting this up and running, for sure, but even just the first few crafts I've done with this setup are on a whole other level. So today, I'll show you all the ultimate crafting setup for 0.2, covering what I've gone over before, as well as every other source of crafting I haven't, plus a bunch of bonus tips along the way. Hopefully you all enjoy, but now let's dive into setting this build up. So, what's probably the most unique thing we're doing today is including both Wilhelmina and our trader into our house. There's a new no-build zone around these guys, so the devs seemingly don't want us doing this. But I've wanted to for ages, so we'll sneakily get around the build zone by placing our foundation at a different height, which works anyway for what we've got planned. Then we'll fill in the foundation around them, and after relogging or traveling back and forth from a different realm like the Watch, these guys will pop up to the proper foundation height when the foundations are placed in. For our build, we're going to be making a bit of an L shape, and what the heck is Cornholio doing here? Man. But either way, the main point is having a space that is at least 3 by 5, as that's where we'll be placing the core of our crafting. Then, additionally, you'll want a small space to set up for cooking and crafting potions. Once we have that 3 by 5 area partitioned off, we can then move on to making small 1 by 2 rooms to further partition the space into 4 rooms with an intersecting hallway. Chests have the ability to reach about 3 foundations long, so with our storage placed around the center here, we can reach all of our crafting stations we'll be setting up. Then, while our walls are still in blueprint mode, we'll place in a single-footed chest in between the walls, so we can place in items as we need, and then grab them if need be without having to enter the crafting rooms. Just thinking of efficiency, where you may need to transport materials in the future. We'll do this for all 4 rooms, but for 2 of the rooms, we'll put in an extra chest, as those will have doubled up crafting stations in them, and so it helps with keeping things organized. Then for our core storage here, we'll be placing in footed chests, and again using their unique ability to stack on top of themselves. We'll make 3 towers of them, being 5 chests tall each. Then we'll take our 2-headed shelves and place them into the stack of chests, to make it look a little nicer in the end result. I know this is a mess of overlay here, but you'll be having 21 footed chests in this area alongside the 3 shelves. Then, once we get that all placed in, our main storage is complete. So now let's move on to our cooking and potion areas storage. This is much more straightforward. We're just going to place in 3 footed chests in here and a basket. The 2 footed chests are for food and food-related materials, and the other chest is for potion storage. Then the basket is for potion ingredients. As most are rather niche, you won't be stockpiling too many of them, and will most likely just focus on one type. So the basket is there as more of an intermediary storage. So now for our crafting setups. For the sake of brevity, we'll be going through things kinda quickly here, but if you've been watching along so far, you know I like doing little write-ups of materials and things needed. So check the pinned comment below for a list of each crafting station's augments, and I'll probably work out the total costs too. So with queues in the game now, we don't need as many crafting stations as we used to need. We'll still need a few to speed things up even further for ourselves, but we won't need like 8 refining stations at once, which is nice for augment counts and for materials needed. I find 4 is a good balance, and I don't usually need more than 4 at once, even without queues. But that's only for the saw table and masonry bench. All other crafting stations can be compressed even further. To get all 4 of our stations into the room, we'll be stacking them just like we did with our footed chests. But like most items, these only stack once and not very tall, so be sure to be as neat as possible when placing so you can have the easiest time. Then for our smelting station, or the hearth, we'll be doing a bit of a tricky thing and placing it into the wall to be more spatially efficient. It doesn't look as nice, but the space saved is needed when making compressed rooms like this. Then for our augments, we'll place in a light source, a vial display, and an open toolbox, alongside a grindstone for the hearth. Then for our last bit of compression in the room, we'll place a campfire into the hearth, so we could give it the warm buff when needed for long crafting times. And with that, you have a hyper-efficient wood and stoneworking room. They use the same augments, so we could place them all together, and the campfire hearth combo will keep everything warm buffed while you craft things. It's such a good little setup. Even if you aren't building a huge system like the one today, even having this small room can make a world of difference. And then for the next room, where we'll be putting pretty much everything else, we'll combine the loom, the mortar, and the tanning station alongside a hearth. We'll overlay each refining station to be more efficient with our lack of space. You could compress things as much as you'd like to, but I find when compressing things like stations and storage, leaving a bit of breathing room gets the best balance. We'll then again place our hearth into the wall with a campfire meshed into it. Then we'll place in our augments with a grindstone for the hearth, a coat rack for the loom, a pterodomania pot and a macabre rack for the mortar, and a felting bucket for the tanning stations. And with this, you've got each station boosted by their individual augments. Now for our workbench and the sewing table setups, we'll start off by placing a workbench, then sneakily meshing in a campfire so we could give this station the warm buff when needed. Then we'll place in our augments, the pterodomania pot, the grindstone, fishing trap, open toolbox, blasting machine, formula board, drinking horn, and simple map, plus a light source. Then for our next room, we'll again put in a table with a campfire inside it. And then we'll place in our augments, the unsprung trap, a compass, a gramophone, tea set, campfire, grindstone, training dummy, ammo box, and saddle. And with these 2 rooms, you can now craft every tool and weapon in the game, including the new throwing knives. Then we'll set up our gear crafting with a blacksmith and campfire combo, alongside a sewing bench, and then a regular table for holding our augments. Then, working from left to right here, we've got a coat rack, a fishing trap, a drinking horn, tea set, toolbox, map, macabre rack, training dummy, vial set, pterodomania pod, and lastly, a light source. This will craft all the clothes in the game, get max buffs, and reach all your storage at once. Now for our cooking, potions, and lastly our magic. These are the crafting things I haven't covered before, so I'll have a new chapter in the video for my returning viewers here. But these setups are rather simple. We can combine our alchemy and cooking, and for magic, we'll have something all on its own for that. For cooking, we'll have the pot, kettle, meat grinder, knife, and strange jug to unlock all the recipes and buffs in the game. And lastly, we'll add the macabre rack for a boost to our healing selves. And for potion crafting, we'll add a table for our augments, but we have a few covered by our cooking setup, namely the knife and the macabre rack. Then we'll add the Terradomania pot, toolbox, map, vial display, and ink making set to unlock all the potion recipes in the game. And between these two, you can craft any food or potion in the game, and give each crafting station a warm buff by simply turning the other one on. It's a great little crafting combo, though potion crafting is super niche in this game. And lastly, our magic setup here. This one's a simple setup that will cover all charms and spells in the game currently. We'll start with a Terradomania pot, an ammo box, a vial display, a crystal ball, but that's mostly for looks. You can also go with a macabre rack to be cheaper, a coat rack, training dummy, then a toolbox hidden below. I wound up revising this area a little bit, and I think it's become my favorite crafting station in the build. But either way, yeah, here's all your magic needs in one simple place. We'll put it near our main storage array so we can make use of crafting from storage, and this one's good to go for crafting all your cards, spells, and charms with ease. And with all this set up now, you can craft literally everything in the game. From all the foods, all the potions, all the tools and clothes, all the resources, and you could do it all with the click of a button with crafting from storage. This setup is sick and so overkill, and I can't wait to use it for my next build here in the game. So lastly here, what crafting and cooking setup is complete without a good bedroom? This way, if you have any really long crafts, like food for example, you can sleep and get the best buff possible. This is more of a bonus tip here in the video, but still it's real easy to set up. First, your comfort level is based on the tier of bed you use. So tier 3 or Art Nouveau and the Bhutan bed are the best in terms of rest score. Then you'll want to have a fireplace near them that you could flick on for when you sleep, and you'll get a boost of 13. I haven't seen higher in the game so far, but if there is a way to boost our rest score even more, I'll be sure to talk about it here on the channel. But for now, 13 seems to be the cap. And so, let's do a final tour here of the build. So we've got the outer patio that leads into the build. And in here we have our cooking and alchemy setup. Then coming down the way, we've got our little area that we've built for our trader, as well as Wilhelmina. And we gave them a nice little bedroom in here as well. And then moving on, over here, we've kind of mixed in the Tudor doors alongside the Bhutan doors for a bit of variety. And here is our sewing setup alongside the hearth and everything. And then out here, we've got our main storage area alongside all of our crafting. So that's our melee room. And then in here is our ranged room. And then we've got our main intersection, and over here we've got refining room number 1 for our woodworking and stoneworking. And out here is another patio. Nice views all around this build. And then in our last room here, we've got our weaving looms, our mortar stations, our tanning racks, all of that stuff. And then it leads back around to the front patio. And then coming back around, we'll head on up to the very elaborate bedroom. I went over the top for this one. But upstairs, we have the master suite, so to speak. So yeah, there you go. If you've ever wanted to craft everything in Nightingale, then this is how to do it in access and style in 0.2, alongside some maybe building ideas, optimizations all over the place. We've got a realmic transmuter just nearby to play any minor card we need. And this is it, dude. Peak perfection of crafting efficiency in Nightingale. We've still got a few 0.2 topics to cover, but this was the last real big one. But I'm stoked to get back to my original Nightingale content, as I was only getting started when 0.2 dropped with all this madness. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, maybe consider hitting the thumbs up button to support the video. But for now, I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.